Okay, oh, we are lovely back with lovely hello lady. Let's get back to this. Was on lovely Thomas Hart. Anyway, Shiranatri was merely was merely a hateful, murderous avenger. He planned to accomplish his goals no matter what the disaster his actions caused. I had three targets left. The traitors who killed my sister, father, and mother deserves the hammer of rage and justice I plan to use. Oh, good. Okay, we're getting backstory.
ちょうど良い時刻だ。
I looked outside. What? Yeah, I looked outside the window at the sleeping academy that was covered by a veil of darkness. Everyone was sleeping. The silence was palpable. I think I said that right. Anyway, after focusing my mind on the hallway, neighboring rooms, and general surroundings, I confirmed that no one was moving and prepared to act. I was clad in all black and I was clad in all black with my face under a mask.
途中までは愉快な夢だった。こう、玉緒の太ももが実に心地よく。
Yeah, them thighs. Phew. Looking back on that memory, wiped the last piece of the nightmare from my mind. Okay, so it really did happen then.
戻ったら、朝まで続きを再生するとしよう。
So the thighs did happen, or was it just a dream? Muttering that, swiftly vanished into the academy's grounds. Okay, I'm guessing he was talking about the dream then. It said it kind of sucked, but whatever. Hufu Makoto was not a simple target. I would have realized the quickest path to making him taste despair was to unveil the secrets of his castle, the academy. Uh, and so I've been trying to look for a way to do that. Yeah, to do that. Wait. Okay. And so I've been trying to look for a way to do that since enrolling. The however that hadn't proved easy. I feel stupid. I can't read the simplest things. Anyway, uh, over a month had passed, but none of the clues I've found that had led anywhere. I had I hadn't discovered a simple decent fact, but I haven't discovered a single decisive fact. That's stupid me. Anyway, uh, what was going on in the academy's depths? Only one can wonder. It okay, it makes me think, quite frank, because that big long building, I'm thinking like some experiments and shit like that. Injections. I mean, I wouldn't say maybe. I wouldn't say killing them though. I wouldn't go that far yet. Anyway, the most obvious suspicion, wait, the most obvious suspect was that building, the crystallized concrete structure that peeked out of the forest like a spear. The plant. That right there says more than anything else. Uh, it was apparently a top secret research facility that was off limits to not only students but most standard researchers as well. So I mean, it's something. I hadn't tried to get into that tower yet. Excuse me. The reason was simple. It was too well guarded. It's through what it's thoughtful what it's through defenses which were active 24/7. What it was active 24 hours a day. Made it impregnable impenetrable, even to ants. Not even I could have got in without proper preparations. But as the saying goes, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If I wished to obtain the Academy secrets, I had to go there sooner or later.
ふん。
Oh, secure. Okay. This is late in the dark. Around wait wait yeah a round point of light slipped past the wall. After waiting for the guard holding the flashlight to pass, I melted. Wait, uh, yeah, no, yeah. I melted into the shadows and began to move. What? Okay, what? Cloaked by the darkness, I jumped through the area and approached the secretive dark forest. Okay, why I feel we're gonna run into someone. I feel we're going to run into someone. And, and I would say probably, okay, I would say maybe we're gonna run into Soroko. Maybe. I I I just have the feeling like I mean we saw her and Taiki out here like like one like a few nights ago or whatever. I think I think she'll probably be the night owl to be out here like in the middle of the fucking like just random at night. Mm.
まずは行く。今夜は手始め、相手の手の内と出方のほどを我が身をもって推し量るとしよう。
History what History would have called my actions reckless, but sadly my loyal maid wasn't by my side. Oh, I I also had some suspicions, particularly about Mitri, Mitri's voluntary leave. Yeah, that's one I'm scared about hers. I don't. It wasn't voluntary. I think I think I think which I would hate to find out is true. I think they took her to the planet and they are, let's say, recorrecting her mistakes. Let's no, I shouldn't say like that. They're giving her a lesson of what happens when you fail, which I hope is not true. Oh, was that a what was that a precursor to something? Also, okay. Also, there was no telling how long I could hide my identity from Kufi Mutari. I knew he would figure it out sooner or later. I couldn't waste too much time at the academy on mere mischief. I I had to act fast. The academy, yeah, okay. The academy had an insane amount of security devices in it: cameras, alarms, sentry guns. What the? Oh my goodness. Okay, okay. This definitely sounds like a fort. I had to make it past all of them as I rushed to the garden. Okay, 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 okay. The cameras and the alarms is one thing, but the sentry guns is something completely different. Out of all the things you could have, why that? Eh, I I felt so light that I felt so light I felt so light that I thought I've grown wings. Thanks to my yoga training, I could control the depths of my sleep and make 2 hours of sleep the same wait. I can make 2 hours of sleep have the same effect as eight, but that wasn't all. I had a good dream as well. Seeing the rough Tama act so modest felt like eh, that this sight had put me in a good mood. I mean, if only that could happen, you know.
うん。
However, However, that made me realize that I cared more about Tama uh, than I thought. Her challenging eyes, her fainted nature, her fierce nature, brain nature. Anyway, her gentle, considerate attitude that was unfortunately hidden by her roughness. Mm. At first I thought she was a lone wolf, but I soon realized that she proudly protected her pack.
せんない話だ。初夏のやけに酔ってしまったが、復讐者が今更人並みの好意を抱こうなど、おこがましいにも程がある。
Eh, I closed in on the entrance to the forest, looking up. I saw a full moon I saw a full moon look shining down at me. I feel stupid. This really was a good night. Mm. It was time to finally enter the secret area. Well, I feel like this is not gonna work. The forest was strange from the outside. It looked like a simple Glenjin forest, but when you entered, it instantly turned into something far more complex and and wait, wait, Vargent, Variant, whatever. Anyway, to, what, uh, technically, a noble academy had been built on the area that used to be a large forest, and the forest and the forest to its north was surely once part of that. A road linked to the research building and the plant. Yeah, okay, yeah, and the plant, but it was better protected than anywhere else, making it past it seemed nearly impossible. Thus, I decided to approach the plant by breaking through the deep forest. It had security as well, but a lot less. Yeah, okay, but a lot less of it that than the main entrance, or at least that was what I thought until just a few minutes later. Even though I haven't, okay, wait, even though I hadn't been in the forest long, my sense of direction had failed. Well, I mean,
これは何とも危うい。この闇の深さといい、濃さといい、まるでシベリアの奥地か、シュバルツシルトの魔女の森ではないかね。
eh, there was forest in Europe that some people claimed were sealed by the curses of real witches, and this one felt just as ominous as any of those.
なるほどな。あの建物を囲む森にセキュリティが手薄なのは、油断ではなく必要がないからか。
The forest clearly had a history to it.
恐るべき天然の妖怪だ。ごく浅い森だというのに、普通のものなら、ものの数分で迷路に落ちて、生涯出口を探してさまよいかねん。
However, wait, sorry. However, had a sense of had a sense of direction akin to that of a bird of passage. This impassable forest did nothing to hinder me.
あちらか。
Following what? Following the strand. Wait, yeah, okay, yeah. Following the strand of moonlight leaking through the trees, I pictured the location of the tower beyond the deep forest and took a step towards it. I think we're gonna get lost. Uh, After a while in this rabbit labyrinth, I stopped for for I saw something right ahead of me. I held a breath and quickly hid between the trees. Who are we gonna run? We're gonna run into somebody. several ton of meters ahead, within a darkness too deep for any normal person to see through. Two silicones peeked in and out like dogs chasing each other's tail. It was a murderous wait, it was a murderous dance that left no room for either of them to catch their breaths. They moved between the trees branch by branch at inhuman speeds without stopping even once. The two shadows aimed for a chance to bite at each other's necks. Okay, this is two dogs trying to get each other. The faint smell of blood reached my nostrils. One of them had gotten hurt and was on the verge of defeat. Suddenly, suddenly the scales of the fight shifted. Uh, the once the once equal fight turned more and more one-sided. The one at the disadvantage gave up fighting and retreated toward my direction. It's a girl. I quickly realized that it was a silicone from some other time ago. I met this creature on my first day while secretly exploring the grounds at night. I recalled that it was an inhuman jumping abilities. However, it was wounded, so its movements were now sluggish. I saw pale white wait I saw pale skin and underwear peeking out from under her clothes.
あれは、
Who is that? At that point, I noticed something was following her. It, uh, I didn't see what it was since it seemed since it seemed to almost melt into the forest darkness. The sole proof of its existence were the sounds it made as it kicked off the trees. I couldn't perceive that from. However, I knew something what however, I knew anything capable of hunting okay. I knew anything okay wait. However, I knew anything capable of hurting the silicone was clearly inhuman. Thus I had to well, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it. As I jumped out from the shadows of the old growth, I felt bloodlust targeting me. Then I heard a sound of something rendering the profound darkness and the air around me. It's it seemed the invisible enemy had noticed me the moment I made a move, and it had it had launched an attack on my life right away. It didn't even know where I was, yet its decision to eliminate me hadn't had a hint of hesitation. A clear sentiment that anyone who dared to enter the forest would meet their end. The mechanical nature of it mentally gave me chills, almost making me freeze in place. What was this invisible terror? Uh, I guess I fucked up. I didn't even have time to think about it. As I lowered my stance and accelerated forward, a sharp uh, a sharp wait, a sharp flash cut through the silky threads of the moonlight. An arrow, or rather a crossbow bolt. It had the power to puncture metal Okay, wait. It had the power to puncture metal and also extending silence in in a situation like this, where the darkness hid everything else. It made for a better weapon than a gun. I could I could see fairly well in the darkness in the dark, but watching out for crossbow bolts, it still seemed difficult. I knew I couldn't fight for life. Figuring that I had to end things quickly, I jumped from tree to tree to avoid the bolts and approach the enemy. Oh well, shit. I felt a shearing pain at my side. The second bolt stuck deep into my flesh. It was a fatal wound. Well, I failed. The precision aim and the precision the precise aim and speed were otherworldly. That must had wait, they must have had night vision equipment. That was the only possible explanation in my mind. The burning pain in my side made my vision blur. Biting down a scream, I forced my shaking legs forward and approached the sharpless foe. I could have perished before. Wait, I couldn't perish before I did what I had to do. I had to keep moving. Where the enemy was, I used my failing vision to chase my foe and turn the tides. But yeah, I think poison. A third shot struck me. A bolt pierced between my brows. Yo, damn, I'm dead. The me- the metal wait, the okay, the metal head punctured my skull and tore my brainstem. This was my reward, the price I paid for being too impulsive. Well, the pain had dissipated. I knew my life had come to an end, feeling strangely, strangely entranced. I I fell into internal darkness. Well, that was a bad end. Well, damn. Okay, I feel stupid. Well, that's one end down. I mean, well, I mean, I say that's what I get. Well, I mean, it did say dangerous right here. So, I, I mean, I should have, I should have played it safe and not leave. I feel stupid. Anyway, even if I could see in the darkness quite well, following something that jumping from the tree to tree like a palm seemed difficult. Anyway, hiding helped me hear the quiet sounds of spring and gears. It was coming. Something cut through the wind and, as I expected, headed straight toward the person in black. The moonlight revealed that it was an arrow, no, a crossbow, no, a crossbow bolt. I jumped out and quickly struck the high speed bolt that almost hit that shadowy person's head.
力に頼りすぎだと言わなかったかね。
Who's this person? The shadowy figure stood in place as though struck by lightning.
立ち止まるな。急いでこの場を離れろ。
The darkness made it extremely difficult to strike down the small bolt. I've only really gotten lucky with the first one, so I didn't expect a second miracle. However, the person in black didn't move. And when I looked over to see what she's doing, I saw her collapse like a marionette with its strings cut. I ran up to her before she hit the ground, grabbed her, and jumped away. Okay, who's this person? A second later, a second later, I heard bolts pierce the darkness as they approached us. It all seemed to happen in slow motion. The bolt bit into my back, but I ignored the pain and carried the the collapsed individual away.
ま靴を守るは恐るべき竜か。今夜のところは一時の敗北を受け入れるとしよう。
Sensing enemies at my back, I rushed out of the forest with a new companion. Okay, okay, who's this person though? I'm curious now. Okay, the disconcerting forest ended up being my ally. Even my mysterious enemies weren't immune to its effects. They lost us somewhere along the way. I secretly took the shadowy figure to my room. She remained unconscious. Okay, blood flowed out from the wound on my back. The pain had made me realize how soft I've been. Wouldn't okay, wouldn't I have been defeated? Wait, okay, wouldn't I have defeated the mysterious crossbowman if I ignored her plight? I knew it wasn't an optimal decision, yet I focused on saving her.
ともかく手当てをしよう。
Ignoring my own wound, I carried the dark figure to my bed. Then I took off. And then I took off the frown. Wait, the form filling leather suit and removed her mask.
うん。
It was Tama. I expected as much since the earlier event in the forest. Oh, okay. Well, the oh my okay. The wound had exposed her underwear, which made it clear that I had been dealing with a woman, and at that point I could recognize her figure and movements anywhere. The unconscious Thomas seemed defenseless, although in a different way from usual, as she faintly breathed through her pale lips.
君が何者で何のつもりであの森に踏み込んだのか詮索するのは後回しだな。
Hmm, well, I turned on the light. I turned on the light and started treating her. Well, however, before I could even think of the wounds riddling her body, I realized something. I realized something else. I realized something else. She was truly beautiful. Her body was a pastel of art. Through though she lacked the miracle of beauty and the joy of and the joy that was a voluptuous chest. Her, her tone frame her tone frame more than made up for it. Her skin felt softer than in my dreams. The guardian of the forest was quite a hectic. Wait, the guardian of the forest was quite a heretic for hurting something so beautiful. A man is a
それに
poet.
しても、この程度の装備や用意であの塔に近づくとは。 随分と無茶をするものだね。その思い切りの良さは、玉緒の美点ではあるのだが。
I'm guessing. Okay, I'm guessing Thomas thinking was thinking the same thing. Like when Mitri's in there, she's inside that place, right? Most of the wounds were made by blades, though some were clearly the result of the passing bolts. She was bleeding all over, staining her white undies and skin. The deepest one was the bolt wound on her left leg. It was far worse than the others. The fact that she managed to move despite it left me at a loss for words.
地の利は敵にある。不意を打たれたのか。
From what I could tell, they precisely took out her leg to make her more susceptible to future attacks.
あの車種と相手のホームで戦って、この程度で済ませた君を称賛するべきだろうね。
Okay, I mean, okay, like okay, okay, ugh, okay. I'm guessing since they work in that tower, right? They have to know like the students that would come here. Tama was a true crown, someone 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 who fully deserved the title, but the crossbowman was just as inhuman.
それに、相手も戦い慣れている。
I mean, okay, they probably train, but I would I would think though, if if they're hurting people like Tama and shit like that, maybe maybe they have to be like super freaking military. The shadow wounds all over Tama were proof of that. Mm. Amateurs often attempted to end battles with a single hit, but 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 delivering genuine harm was a more was a real was a more surefire path to victory. The opponent noticed Tama's strengths, so instead of aiming for a one hit kill, they switched to weakening her first, like a hunter dealing with a raging beast. None of them seemed deep enough to impale her for life, but I couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't leave a mark.
この部屋では専門的な治療とまではいかないが、できる限りの処置はしておこう。
Yeah. Well, oh, whoopsie. I guess I did too fast. Anyway, after I finished treating Tama, I focused on healing myself. I've taken a hit to my back. Yeah, wait, I've taken a hit on my back, so I can't stretch it. Instead, I bandaged it tight. I didn't drop my guard, but thankfully, no one followed us. It looked like I've been worried for nothing. Nah. Hi, sleepyhead. I looked behind me and saw Tama stir, walking to my bed. I welcomed the princess to reality.
どうかね、玉緒。体は動くだろうか。
Hi, princess.
痛て、いろんなところがズキズキ。
Oh man. Whew. This image. I'm gonna leave it here, um, for reasons, uh, just for reasons. Um, uh, Anywho, uh, I can't say, that reasons might have been good. But anyway, I want to say thank you all for coming and all that stuff. Um, but anywho, yeah, thank you all for coming and all that. I hope YouTube doesn't get me destroy my video and all that shit. But anywho, um, Yeah, hopefully YouTube is fine. But anyway, um, thank you all for coming. Please, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Um, what else? Um, I'm uh, never mind. I'll say it for later. Anyway, again, thank you all for coming.